Have you ever wondered why homelessness, a problem so pervasive, remains unresolved in one of the wealthiest countries in the world? It's a question that gnaws at the edges of our collective consciousness, a paradox that seems to defy logic. The United States, the land of dreams, the ground of immense wealth and opportunities, is also home to a disheartening number of individuals without a roof over their heads. Imagine walking down the bustling streets of New York City, amidst towering skyscrapers and glittering shops, only to turn the corner and see a makeshift tent city. Or envision the sun-kissed boulevards of Los Angeles, where palm trees line the streets and movie stars make their homes, but also where thousands of people lay their heads on the pavement each night. It's a contrast that is as startling as it is heartbreaking. The statistics are equally staggering. On any given night, more than 500,000 people in the U.S. experience homelessness. That's equivalent to the entire population of Atlanta, Georgia. Yet the United States has a GDP that rivals the largest in the world, an economy that is the envy of many nations. How can this be? How can such prosperity and such poverty coexist in the same landscape? Is it a failure of our social systems, an inevitable byproduct of capitalism, or a symptom of deeper societal issues? These questions and more are what we aim to explore in this video. But let's take it a step further. Let's not just ask why homelessness exists, but why it persists. Despite countless initiatives, programs, and billions of dollars spent, the problem seems to be growing, not shrinking. Is it possible that the very mechanisms we've put in place to combat homelessness are, in fact, contributing to its perpetuation? Could it be that our very attempts to solve homelessness are perpetuating it? As we delve into the topic of the homeless industrial complex, keep this question in mind. It's a question that challenges our assumptions, prompts us to look deeper, and forces us to rethink our approach to one of the most pressing issues of our time. Enter the homeless industrial complex, a term that may sound alien to many, but its implications are far-reaching. This concept is not about the homeless, but rather about the vast network of entities that benefit financially and politically from the existence of homelessness. Imagine a web woven with countless threads, each representing a different stakeholder. These range from nonprofit organizations to housing developers, from government agencies to private sector service providers. Each thread has its own role, its own interest, and its own impact on the issue of homelessness. Nonprofit organizations, for instance, often rely on funding that is tied directly to the number of homeless people they serve. While their intentions may be noble, this structure inherently incentivizes maintaining a certain level of homelessness to secure funding. Then there are housing developers. Some capitalize on tax incentives and grants designed to encourage affordable housing, only to create housing that is still out of reach for many of the homeless. In some cases, they may even contribute to the problem by driving up rents and displacing residents in the neighborhoods they develop. Government agencies, too, play a pivotal role. They allocate funds, create regulations, and implement policies. However, the bureaucracy often leads to inefficient use of resources, with large portions of budgets consumed by administrative costs instead of direct aid. Lastly, we have private sector service providers. These include companies that provide food, medical services, or temporary shelter to the homeless. Like the others, they too can become part of this complex, as their revenues are dependent on the continued existence of homelessness. This is the homeless industrial complex, a system that, while aiming to alleviate homelessness, may inadvertently perpetuate it. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, but understanding it is the first step to unraveling the threads that bind it. So could this complex be a part of the problem? We must consider how the homeless industrial complex impacts society and, more importantly, the individuals it purports to help. Picture this: a complex network of government agencies, nonprofits, and private organizations, all working towards a common goal: mitigating homelessness. This is the essence of the homeless industrial complex. Yet, despite the noble intentions, the impact of this complex on both society and the individuals it aims to assist is far from straightforward. Let's start with the societal implications. The homeless industrial complex, while doing crucial work, can inadvertently perpetuate the very issue it seeks to resolve. This happens when the focus shifts from addressing the root causes of homelessness to managing its symptoms. By providing temporary shelters and meals, these organizations offer much-needed relief. But these are short-term solutions, and they often overshadow the systemic issues at play. Poverty, lack of affordable housing, mental health issues, and substance abuse, to name a few. By placing a band-aid on a deep wound, the homeless industrial complex can inadvertently create a cycle of dependency. The individuals it serves often find themselves stuck in a revolving door of homelessness, bouncing from one temporary solution to another with no real escape from the cycle. But what about the impact on the homeless individuals themselves? This is where the picture gets murkier. On one hand, the services provided by the homeless industrial complex can be lifesavers. A warm meal, a safe place to sleep, access to medical care, these are invaluable resources for someone living on the streets. However, these services, while essential, do not necessarily lead to long-term stability. The homeless industrial complex in its current form often fails to address the individual needs and circumstances of those it serves. The focus is primarily on immediate relief, often at the expense of long-term solutions like affordable housing or job training. This can leave the homeless feeling trapped with no clear path out of their circumstances. Not only that, but the complex can also inadvertently perpetuate stigma and stereotypes about homelessness. The media often portrays the homeless as passive recipients of aid, reinforcing the notion that they are helpless and dependent. This can further isolate the homeless, making it harder for them to reintegrate into society. This isn't to say that the homeless industrial complex is inherently flawed or that its efforts should be dismissed. Far from it. The work done by these organizations is vital and saves lives every day. However, it's crucial to recognize the inadvertent side effects of this complex and the need for a more holistic approach to homelessness. Indeed, the cycle of homelessness continues, fueled in part by the very system designed to end it. It's time to rethink our approach to homelessness. Our society's current response to homelessness often seems more focused on immediate profit-driven solutions rather than sustainable long-term strategies. This approach, while perhaps well-intentioned, often fails to address the root causes of homelessness and can even perpetuate the cycle of poverty and displacement. We need to shift our perspective. Instead of viewing homelessness as an individual failing that can be solved with a quick fix, we should see it as a systemic issue that requires a comprehensive, person-centered approach. The solution isn't as simple as providing a roof over someone's head. It's about providing resources and opportunities that empower individuals to break free from the cycle of homelessness. One such solution could be implementing a housing-first strategy. This approach prioritizes providing individuals experiencing homelessness with permanent housing as quickly as possible. Once housing is secured, supportive services are then provided as needed. This strategy has been proven successful in places like Finland, where homelessness rates have significantly decreased. In addition to housing, we must also address other systemic issues that contribute to homelessness, such as income inequality, lack of affordable health care, and education disparities. Increasing minimum wage, expanding healthcare coverage, and improving access to quality education can help prevent homelessness before it even starts. There's also a need for more comprehensive mental health services. Many individuals experiencing homelessness struggle with mental health issues, yet access to affordable, quality mental health care is often out of reach. By investing in mental health services, we can provide these individuals with the support they need to maintain stable housing. Lastly, we must invest in job training and education programs. These programs can provide individuals with the skills they need to secure stable employment and achieve financial independence. All these solutions require a significant investment of resources, but in the long run they can save money by reducing the cost of emergency health care, law enforcement, and other expenses associated with homelessness. The eradication of homelessness requires a systemic change, not just a band-aid solution. Homelessness is not just a social issue, it's a human issue. We've journeyed together through the realities of homelessness, unmasked the homeless industrial complex, examined its impacts, and considered alternative solutions. The journey, however, does not end here. Not while there are still individuals without a place to call home. The homeless industrial complex, with its tangled web of profiteers and ineffective policies, does more to sustain homelessness than to eradicate it. It's a system that needs to be dismantled, not perpetuated. The solution lies in systemic changes, in rethinking our approach, and in putting humanity first. But change doesn't happen in a vacuum. It requires conversation, engagement, and advocacy. We must bring this issue to the forefront, question the status quo, and demand better. Because remember, homelessness is not just an issue, it's a human issue. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's advocate for change. The solution to homelessness lies not in the perpetuation of a complex, but in the dismantling of it.